At my agency, we've scaled multiple e-commerce brands from 7 to 8 figures in revenue. And the way that we do that is primarily through Facebook ads. We produce all the ad creatives, we run the ads, we optimize the funnel. But with all the brands we work with, we always run into the same problem. And that is, how do I find more winning ad creatives that I can scale on Facebook so that I can continue increasing the ad spend month over month to therefore increase the revenue month over month, but while maintaining profitability? And back in 2020, when I started my agency, we were the ones who would throw ads together and throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And to be transparent, that process of just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks annoyed me. And I knew there had to be a better way of finding winning ads on a more consistent basis. And then over the years, learning from many different people who were ahead of us and doing things better than us, taking what they were doing, and also doing a ton of testing ourselves, we now have this system that repeatedly spits out winning ad creatives, and we know our win rate. We know how many creatives we need to produce to find winners. And once you know that, and once you can improve that, you can get very effective and very efficient at finding winning ads, because the biggest bottleneck is you produce 20 different ads, but none of them work, right? Now, what if you could produce 10 ads and every 1 in 10 work, or every 2 in 10 work? Now you know how many ad creatives you need to produce in total to produce enough winners to sustain the ad spend that you want to scale to. And of course, this is a lot easier said than done. It's one of the hardest things, and it's what stops most e-commerce brands from scaling, assuming you have product market fit, a good offer, and also a good AOV and conversion rate balance. And that's why in this video, I'm going to break down some of that process that we use internally at my agency, but also use an example from a brand that's doing $27.5 million every single year, this brand called Love Wellness. We've broken them down on my channel before. Amazing brand. I'm going to show you 3 of their ads today, 3 very, very well-built ads, but I'm also going to be providing some insight as to how they can even improve them further. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Just a quick refresh here on Shopify for one of our clients. You can see scaling this brand towards the 8-figure range, last 12 months, just over $9.3 million in revenue. So what I'm going to do is we're going to watch each of these ads individually. And after we watch them, we're going to go through the breakdown of each individual element within inside the framework. Now, if you've seen other ad creative videos on my channel, you'll know the drill here, right? And if you haven't seen any, I just want to provide some quick explanation around what frameworks are and why we're going to break these ads down in the way that we break them down. So if we take a step back and we go back to what I was saying earlier about throwing ads at the wall and seeing what sticks and kind of mashing ads together, like there's no real structure to those ads, right? And we're talking about videos here. And the problem with that is that when it comes to analyzing the ads and understanding whether something works or doesn't work and why it doesn't work or why it works, you can't really put your finger on it, right? You can maybe just say, okay, the angle works, but that's not really a very good way of going about it, because yes, the angle could work, but there might be something within the ad that is tanking the performance, right? By the way, if you're a new viewer here, my name is Jordan Hayes. I actually run a marketing agency where we help e-commerce brands scale their revenue profitably. Now, if you're running an e-commerce brand, you're doing over 100K per month in revenue, and you're facing challenges with scale, maybe your ads or your funnel is not working as well as it used to or should be, or even if it's just a lack of time and resource to put into scaling this part of the business, then that's exactly what we help with. So down below this video, there'll be a link to book a call with me. We'll have a conversation about your business, learn more about the challenges, your objectives, and see if there's a fit for us to work together. Worst case scenario, I can provide some insights as we're seeing with our other clients to help you at your current stage of your business. And as I mentioned, this is for brands who are doing at least 100K per month in revenue, and they need help with scaling and obviously want to scale profitably. And in the way in which we help brands scale is we provide services across both customer acquisition and customer retention, done for you services which are completely hands-off. We take care of everything for you. And that includes media buying, CRO, landing pages, ad creative, email marketing, SMS marketing, overall growth strategy, lifetime value optimization, all that stuff, okay? So with that said, let's get back to the video. So what we want to do is we want to build ads with frameworks, and a framework is basically a proven structure. And within that proven structure, you have these different elements, right? These different blocks that when you combine them together, they make up the framework, right? And what this means is that when we come to analyzing the ads and we look at the engagement graphs and we look at the hook rates, the hold rates, we can actually see which part of the video are we getting a steep drop off, right? Where are we losing a ton of people, right? Is it because we're introducing the product too soon? Is it because we're not agitating the problem enough and we're not getting into and we're not meeting the consumer where they're at? Like you can start to build a hypothesis around the data, okay? And you can come back to the framework that you built, and you can say, okay, we're gonna, maybe the product is being introduced too soon, so we're gonna just move this later, and we're gonna do some more problem education, some more agitation, and maybe talk about some failed solutions before we introduce the product, so that the consumer really feels understood before we're introducing them to a new product, right? So that is just one example of what you can do, and obviously there's tons and tons of ways you can go about this in terms of the hypothesis and iteration. But basically, rather than always creating new ads, it's like create an ad with a proven framework, test it, get the data, understand where it's going wrong. Make that change with the hypothesis that you had with the example I just gave you, and then create an iteration, create a new variation, a new version of that ad. Test it again, right? Test that again. See if the change actually led to better performance, and if you fix the drop-off issue. And if not, change something again, right? And it's an iterative process. This is what the top brands are doing, right? The brands are doing 8 figures or 9 figures a year. They're iterating on their ads, right? Multiple times. One ad could have 5 iterations, 7 iterations, whatever it is. Eventually, you do have to say, okay, we've iterated enough on this ad. We can't make it a winner. We have to discard it and focus on other things, right? And also knowing when to do that is part of the expertise that you get when you work with a team like mine, or a team that have scaled multiple brands to 8 figures and found a repeatable process for finding ads that win. And as I said, this is a lot easier said than done. If you just want a partner to come in and do all this for you, produce all your ads, even run your ads for you, optimize the funnel, this is exactly what my team does. We do this for a handful of brands. We don't work with a ton of brands. We would prefer to work with less brands that are higher quality, that we really believe in, and that, if we scale them far, we're going to win as well. So if that is something that interests you, there's a link below this video to my website. You can go ahead and book a call. It's just a quick 20-minute chat. We'll have a conversation to see if we can actually help you. It's really just to make sure that we can do our due diligence to come in and actually make a real impact, help you grow, and obviously achieve your profit targets as well. All right. So let's start by watching this video, and then we're going to break down the elements step by step.
I cut out gluten, dairy, and sugar. How am I still bloated as I used to think bloating just meant I ate the wrong thing, but even when I ate clean, I still felt huge. I had no idea. Bloat isn't always caused by food. It can be water retention, hormones, sometimes even both. It wasn't until I discovered Bye Bye Bloat that I realized it's my hormones making me look preggers. It has digestive enzymes that help break down food and organic herbs like fennel and ginger, which are proven to improve digestion. It even has fenugreek, which apparently is really good for period bloating. I pop 2 after dinner and I can see the difference in an hour. Now I carry these in my purse like my life depends on them. I've tried so much of it. This is the only supplement that helps with food, hormones, and water weight. I'm blown away.
Okay, so the ad is 44 seconds long, about the average length of a prospecting ad, a UGC ad. You can see here that the pacing is very good, right? We always speak about the pacing on my channel. The pacing is the rate at which you change the thing that the visual, basically. You change the thing that someone is looking at. So you can see here, things change pretty quickly, every 1, 2, 3 seconds. And this is important, again, to just maintain viewers, right? To maintain engagement and to avoid drop-off, okay? Of course, if you have very good pacing, but your ad is just not good, then you're not going to get good engagement, right? Both have to be in place. So let's actually break this down step by step. So this framework starts with the lifestyle frustration hook, right? And now every ad starts with a hook, but this one in particular goes right into relatability, right? Emotional frustration is perfect for TikTok meta scroll stopping, and it validates a common experience among the target audience. As we watch and break down these ads, I want you to keep in mind a few different things. Number one, the whole point of us creating ads like this is so that we make the customer feel understood, because someone that feels understood is someone who buys, okay? The second thing is we want to appeal to emotion, because people buy with emotion and they justify with logic. The third thing is that as you watch the 3 different ads, I want you to keep an eye on the similarities, and I'm going to point those out to you as well. But basically, what that means for you is actually it's pretty straightforward to get a winning framework and a structure and apply it to your own brand, which is ultimately the goal here, right? It's why you're watching this video, is so that you can learn new things and apply them to your own brand to get better performance and scale, right? So this is the hook itself. Again, coming into the mind of the consumer, right? If someone is watching this and they've also cut out gluten, dairy, and sugar, in their mind they're just saying, I've also done that. And yeah, I've done that, and I'm also still bloated. Like, it just makes sense, right? Then we go into the problem and the problem agitation. So let's just watch this video again.
I cut out gluten, dairy, and sugar. How am I still bloated as I used to think bloating just meant I ate the wrong thing, but even when I ate clean, I still felt huge.
Okay, so this is very important that you have this sort of problem and then also the agitation. It's also a little bit of education as well, but ultimately, the person that's watching this is like, if they've cut out all these foods and they're still bloated, they might be thinking the same thing, but they might even learn something new. It's like, maybe it's not the food, right? It starts to add that, starts to ask that question. So, and what this is also doing is it sets this scene to build a bridge to introducing new information, right? Like, if we're able to break down a commonly held belief and break that belief, then it sets us up to introduce something new, right? We just need to make sure we set the scene before we introduce our product, which you're going to see in all these videos, is that the problem comes first, it's agitated, and then the solution is introduced, right? And of course, like, an even better way to go about that would be to talk about the problem, agitate the problem, talk about failed solutions, introduce some authority to back up the claims that you're making, and then introduce your product off the back of that. That's just another way you can go about it that adds a little bit more strength to the framework as well. But let's continue with this video right here where we go into problem education, and it introduces the educational insight, builds credibility, and again opens the door to the product as a smarter solution. So we continue to set the scene.
I had no idea bloat isn't always caused by food. It can be water retention, hormones, sometimes even both. It wasn't.
Okay, so we can see here that we're just educating on the problem a little bit more. Like, it's not always your food, it could be water retention, hormones, etc. And those might be things that the consumer already knows, or maybe they don't already know yet, right? And this ad is likely targeting a problem-aware audience, right? Those that are aware that they have the problem, but aren't really aware of the solution, right? Now, people who are solution aware could still fit into this ad and still convert from this ad, especially in a market like this where the audience is pretty sophisticated, right? Maybe they've tried other supplements that help with bloating that maybe didn't work. So then we go into the product discovery, which is when we actually introduce the product, right? It's the breakthrough moment that anchors the product as the answer to a misunderstood issue, right? When we introduce the product off the back of that education, it just makes the claim that we're making around the product much more likely to be believed.
Until I discovered Bye Bye Bloat that I realized it's my hormones making me look preggers.
Okay, and then off the back of this, we're going right into the features and the unique mechanism, right? So we're educating the customer on how the product actually works, and this is important as well because you need to provide proof and you need to provide explanation as to why your product is solving the problem, right? And obviously it has to make sense, right? So talk about the ingredients, talk about the formulation, talk about the certifications your product has, talk about the way it's made. And then you also want to introduce a unique mechanism. Unique mechanism is like your USP, right? Your unique selling point. It's something that makes your product different and it puts it into a category of one. Because as I mentioned, a lot of people that are watching this ad have probably tried other bloating supplements before. There's a ton on the market, right? This is nothing new. But by introducing a unique mechanism, it's putting us in a category of one. It's decommoditizing ourselves. In the consumer's mind, when we introduce a unique mechanism and it makes sense, and we back that up with science, authority, social proof claims, whatever it is, in the consumer's mind, they're thinking, okay, there's something about this product that's different than all the other ones, right? There's something about it that's different and, I have to try it. So that's why the unique mechanism is important to include. So if we go back to the ad, we'll watch how they introduce the features and also the unique mechanism.
Of enzymes that help break down food and organic herbs like fennel and ginger, which are proven to improve digestion. It even has fenugreek, which apparently is really good for period bloating. I pop 2 after dinner.
Okay, and then right here, we're getting into the benefit and the end result. So actually taking them and, you just need to pop 2 with every meal.
And I can see the difference in an hour.
Okay, the important thing here is the time, right? They can see the difference in an hour. You saw the before and after there as well, which is extremely important when you're selling products like this.
And I can see the difference.
Right, the before and after here. Like it's show don't tell as well, right? Like even though the script is very good and we're telling and we're, problem, agitation, unique mechanism, all those things. But if you also back that up with strong visuals, before and afters, us versus them, like whatever it is, then that's just going to reinforce the claims that you're making in your script even further. So the next thing is the time that it gives you, right? In an hour. And the reason why this is important is because if you know Alex Hormozi's offer equation, the bottom of that equation, which you really want to decrease, is the time delay, right? The faster that the customer can achieve the desired outcome, which is not to be bloated, the better, right? If I gave you a pill that in 1 minute you can immediately have a 6-pack abs, then you would take that pill, right? Even if it cost $100, right? And that is value. So basically what we're doing here is we're saying it only takes an hour, right? It's not going to be 7 days. It means that you can enjoy your favorite meal, take this, and in an hour, you're not bloated, right? And that is extremely powerful when you're trying to convert cold audiences into customers. Then we touch a little bit on the failed solutions. So if we just go back to this right here.
In an hour. Now I carry these in my purse like my life depends on them. I've tried so much other.
Right, a little bit of the failed solutions, not a lot, but I would say that they could enhance this ad by saying, I tried this and this and this. You don't have to name specific products, but you can say, I tried, pharmaceutical things. I tried an enema, whatever it is, right? Other failed solutions, because when you can name them, again, it makes the customer feel understood because they've likely also tried them as well. And the key is understanding your customer so that when you do say those failed solutions, you know that the customer has tried them, right? It's actually very simple. But what most brands don't do is they don't take enough time to do the research and really understand their customer. They don't call their customers and ask them, hey, by the way, what other things did you try before taking our product? And they will literally tell you. If your product works and it's good, they'll be so happy to tell you about their experience and how they tried this brand and that brand and they tried this enema and they tried not eating for 7 days, whatever it is, right? And that's going to uncover a lot of key information that is going to allow you to create ads that win and outcompete other competing products on the market. And then finally, we have a value stack close. So let's just watch this.
This is the only supplement that helps with food, hormones, and water weight. I'm blown away.
Okay, so again, it kind of reinforces the benefits, right? Food, hormones, and water weight, which were spoken about earlier on in the video. So it kind of closes that loop and creates that cycle where we're saying, bloat isn't always caused by food. It can be caused by water retention, hormones, and sometimes even both. And basically, we're saying that this supplement helps with bloating no matter the cause, right? Whether it's food, whether it's hormones, whether it's water retention, whatever it is, okay? It's a very clever way to kind of bring things full circle. Now, what I would do is I would add a stronger call to action, right? Because this is a direct response ad. We need to have a call to action. I've recommended this to all my friends and I recommended it to you as well. Or it could even be, I ended up going into their subscription program because every time I went back to buy more product, I saw that the stock was running out. Okay, so that adds a little bit of urgency, a little bit of scarcity, and also sets people up to join the subscription program when they get to the website, right? Which is, this brand has, one-time and subscription options. Okay, so this is the first ad right here. And now as you watch this second ad, I want you to see the similarity in terms of the structure, okay? It's a different ad, but it has different elements and a lot of good things about it that we're gonna go through right now.
Not me unbuttoning my pants after eating, hoping no one notices. I didn't realize how much bloating was controlling my life. I'd skip meals before dinner with friends, wear oversized shirts just to hide my body, even turn down a date once, not because I didn't want to go, because I felt that uncomfortable. It was affecting my mental health. Do I look huge? Can they tell? Then I found Bye Bye Bloat. It's clinically formulated with digestive enzymes to target the root cause of bloating. It helps your body break down fat, carbs, and proteins so food doesn't just sit there. It also has organic dandelion and organic fenugreek, which help flush out excess water weight. I take 2 every day. Within hours, I feel like me again. Comfortable, clear-headed, even my clothes fit better. 7 out of 10 women say it works, and I'm one of them now. You don't realize how much bloating controls your life until it doesn't anymore.
Okay, so first thing, ad is about the same length as the previous one. It's the same content creator, and it's a very similar structure, right? But there's slightly different messaging, and the hook is obviously different, and we're gonna break this down right now, okay? So first thing, again, another relatable hook, right? Not me unbuttoning my pants after eating, hoping no one notices, because the customer has definitely done that, right? And that just creates a scroll stop, and the customer's like, yeah, this is me. Let me continue watching, right? Some of the best hooks are the ones that are relatable, right? Not always the ones that you do something crazy, like throwing something out a window or like doing a boomerang, like those can work, but ultimately the hooks that are working the best nowadays are the ones that also bake engagement into them, right? You're setting the scene for strong engagement in the ad based on the hook. If you take the example of like doing something crazy, like throwing something out the window, is like, that's going to get you a strong hook, but is it really going to give you strong engagement? If, for example, the thing that comes after that hook is not really related and doesn't really flow that well, then you're going to get a lot of drop off there, okay? So you need to be careful about that. Don't just try and inflate the hook rate. Also look at how you can build a strong hook, but that bakes retention and engagement into it. Then we go straight from the hook right into the problem, just as we did in the previous video, right? We go right into the problem here, and we're seeing the same thing in this ad. So let's go back to the ad and watch the problem itself.
Not me unbuttoning my pants after eating, hoping no one notices. I didn't realize how much bloating was controlling my life. I'd skip meals before dinner with
Okay, so if we just go back here,
didn't realize how much bloating was controlling my life. I'd skip meals before dinner with friends, wear oversized shirts just to hide my body, even
okay, so we're seeing the problem introduction here, right? And again, relatability, specific things that the user that's watching this, the customer, is likely doing as well, right? Wearing the oversized shirts, etc., etc. Okay, and that just creates emotional tension, but it also makes the customer feel understood and it's relatable, and it's like, finally someone who gets me. Okay, that's what you want to be happening in the minds of your viewers. Okay, then we go into problem agitation. This is important because sometimes just introducing the problem is not enough. Okay, we need to agitate the problem to extract more emotion from the user, but also again to make them feel more understood. And again, that sets the scene for us to introduce our product. Okay, so we'll watch the problem agitation.
even turned down a date once, not because I didn't want to go, because I felt that uncomfortable. It was affecting my mental health. Do I look huge? Can they tell? Then I found
Okay, so we can see a problem agitation. Again, another key with response ads is to tie the problem and the solution back to the actual desire and the outcome that the customer wants, right? Yes, they want to solve their bloating, but what they really want is they want to be able to go on dates and not feel uncomfortable. They want to be able to look good in the eyes of other women. They want validation from other women. Like those kind of things are what they really want. The self-confidence, the social approval, the sexual companionship, going back to the life force 8 core desires. That's really the foundation and the key. So within all of this, you have to have problem agitation, but then tie it back to the desire, tie it back to the actual outcome. And we saw that here with the dates because, she felt uncomfortable being bloated, right? That is tying it back to the actual outcome of the desire. Then we introduce the product, right? Product discovery. And it's the same as we saw earlier. It's kind of like, then I found bye bloat. And it shifts from problem to solution, introducing the product with authority and formulation credibility, which ties into the next thing, which is the features and unique mechanism, which again, we saw the exact same thing here as well, right? Talking about how the product works in the digestive system, the ingredients, and also the unique mechanism, which is putting ourselves in a category of one.
By bloat. It's clinically formulated with digestive enzymes to target the root cause of it. It helps your body break down fat, carbs, and proteins so food doesn't just sit there. It also has organic dandelion and organic fenugreek, which help flush out excess water weight. I take 2 every.
Okay. And also the ease, right? The end result, and also the low effort and sacrifice, right? You just need to take 2 with every meal, right? That's it.
Day. Within hours, I feel like me again. Comfortable, clear-headed, even my clothes fit better. 7 out of.
Okay. And then you saw again, like within hours, I feel like myself again, time delay, and then adding a little bit more about the emotional relief, shifts to empowerment and body confidence. And that's a key motivator as well. Again, tying it back to what the consumer wants. And then finally, we end with social proof, right? 7 out of 10 women say it works. So let's go back here.
10 women say it works, and I'm one of them now. You don't realize how much bloating controls your life until it doesn't anymore.
Okay. So powerful ending. And they have the social proof with the reviews. And again, I think this ad is missing the CTA at the end. I think that would make it even stronger as giving customers a reason to click the ad now and go and shop, right? Like if you want to get rid of your bloating in a matter of a few hours after taking this product, lovewellness.com right now and get it before it sells out, like something like that. Because ultimately it's a direct response ad. We want people to take action. And yes, this ad is strong enough that they're going to get a high click-through rate, but I would say it can make it even stronger and built more for scale with that in mind. Okay, so this is this ad. You can see that the commonalities between ad 1 and ad 2. Now, as we watch ad 3, you're going to see the same thing again. It's a different angle, but you're going to see the same you're going to see a lot of similarities between what we just saw. So let's watch this ad, and then we're going to break it down.
Bestie, even clean girls get weird smells. Here's why. Do you ever step out the shower and still wonder if your V smells weird? Like, how can I be clean and still feel off? I used to check my underwear thinking, what is going on down there? Turns out it's not even a hygiene thing. It's an imbalance in your veg. I learned that your V is basically a tiny, delicate ecosystem that needs the right bacteria. When your pH is off, odor shows up, no matter how many times you wash. That's why Good Girl Probiotics exists. It's not just another probiotic. It was developed with board-certified OBGYNs and uses 9 clinically studied strains designed specifically for your vaginal health, not just your gut. It keeps odor in check, supports your pH, keeps your microbiome happy, and it works. I smell healthy and fresh all the time now, and my pH stays balanced. You shouldn't be ashamed, embarrassed, or insecure. It's confidence backed by real science that works, so you can just live your life.
So it's 57 seconds, which it gives you a good enough time to actually introduce, talk about the problem, agitate the problem, introduce the solution, educate the customers, talk about authority, social proof. Like it's a lot to fit in, but around 1 minute and even going like 1 minute 30 is a good timeline to do that. The other ads we saw were a little bit shorter, but as I mentioned, if we can add in those, more authority, CTAs, it would take the ad to around about 1 minute long. So this ad right here is for a different product, but hopefully you start to see the similarities in terms of the first 2 ads, in terms of the structure as well. And again, what this means is that you can take these repeatable frameworks and apply them to your own brand and your own products and start to test them. So bold, relatable hook. And this is interesting because it opens with a shame-breaking truth bomb. It's instantly relatable, it's funny, and it's also disarming. And it pulls attention fast through vulnerability and a casual tone, right? So it gives a relief, and it also, we've spoken about in other videos about shifting the blame. And sometimes, customers feel like it's all their fault. And if you can be the one that says, look, it's not your fault, other people suffer from this as well, it's normal. And you say, look, it's something else that's causing this. It shifts the blame away from the consumer. And now you become the voice of reason as to what you're about to introduce. Okay. So then we go into the problem, which again, we've seen in previous ads, but it builds connection by normalizing insecurity many women experience, but rarely vocalize. And it also gives emotional validation. And ultimately it makes the customer feel understood because again, they're likely going through the same things. So let's watch this again.
Bestie, even clean girls get weird smells. Here's why. Do you ever step out the shower and still wonder if your V smells weird? Like, how can I be clean and still feel off?
Okay, so again, like tapping into that frustration that the customer feels and then going into problem agitation, right? Adding in more relatability by talking about the specific things that the customer is also going through. right? Again, making the customer feel understood.
Used to check my underwear thinking, what is going on down there? Turns out it's not even a hygiene thing. It's an imbalance in your veg.
Okay, again, shifting the blame, right? It's not a hygiene thing. That is just tying in what we just spoke about as well. Okay. And this opens the door for education and solution, right? Everything is about setting the scene. As long as the customer feels understood, as long as we can extract emotion, then it gives us a very good environment to then introduce something new and construct a new belief in their mind, right? Through education. So now we go into the problem education as well, which breaks down the science in simple terms, helping the viewer understand the cause, and it also reframes the problem in their mind.
I learned that your V is basically a tiny, delicate ecosystem that needs the right bacteria. When your pH is off, odor shows up, no matter how many times you wash.
Okay, so notice here how it's the creator that's talking about the science. It's not necessarily an authority figure that's talking about the science, it's the creator. But the reason why it works is because it's like, I learned this, right? I did the searching, I did the research, and sometimes that is enough, right? Of course, you should use authority where you can as well. Doctors, people who are authorities in your specific space. But this is also important. Why you would trust a friend's recommendation is because they've done the research. Okay, so then we introduce the product, right? Which again is the same structure as we saw before, right? We have the hook, the problem agitation, the product discovery, the features and unique mechanism is exactly the same what we just saw before. We have the hook, the problem agitation, and then product discovery, right? As we just seen here, we have the hook, the problem agitation, a little bit more of education on the science, and then we introduce the product, right? So going a little bit more into the science and like how things actually happen and why the consumer is actually facing this issue before introducing the product, which I think is a good idea. It just sets the scene so that your claims that you're making about your product in the next few seconds are going to be more believable and more accepted by the user. Okay. Now, off the back of the product introduction, we also introduce authority, which is extremely important.
That's why Good Girl Probiotics exists. It's not just another probiotic. It was developed with board-certified OBGYNs and uses 9 clinically studied strains.
Okay, so developed with OBGYNs, the authority in this space with this product, and that is going to resonate a lot with consumers because, okay, it has that stamp of approval. I can now trust this a little bit more. 9 clinically studied strains backed by science is another stamp of approval. Again, builds trust. And with that, we start to go more into the features and benefits, okay? So we're talking about the ingredients, talking about how it supports pH, how it also keeps your microbiome happy, right? So just go back here.
Designed specifically for your vaginal health, not just your gut. It keeps odor in check, keeps your microbiome happy, and it works. I smell.
Okay, so now we start to go into the outcome as well and the end result, which is I smell healthy and fresh all the time now, and my pH stays balanced. It anchors the benefits in personal sensory transformation, specific and confidence affirming. So it's always important to have this end result, the outcome. And as we saw before, you can make that stronger by tying it back to the desire, the actual outcome that the consumer wants. Yes, pH stays balanced, that's great. But what the consumer actually wants is that when they leave the house, when they go out with friends, when they go on dates, etc., when they're with their partner, whatever it is, they don't want to be self-conscious. They want to have the confidence that this issue is now fixed. Like, I can rely on this product to just solve my issues and I can actually live my life, right? And that's kind of what this brand ties in at the end with the first person close.
Smell healthy and fresh all the time now, and my pH stays balanced. You shouldn't be ashamed, embarrassed, or insecure. It's confidence backed by real science that works, so you can just live your life.
Okay, so again, I do think that the close can be stronger. I think, with these 3 ads, the structure of the ads overall is very good. I think the close can be a lot stronger. The offer, the CTA, to give someone a reason to go and buy now, right? Because yes, as we said before, the way that they introduce the problem, they agitate the problem, the way they introduce the product, talk about authority, social proof, they show the end result. All of that is amazing. And in the previous ad, we even saw that they tied it into the desire, right? The social desire, the actual emotional outcome that the consumer wants in life. And they do it a little bit here, but I think they could do that better by saying, now, I smell healthy and fresh all the time now, which means when I go on dates, I'm no longer self-conscious. When I go out with my friends, if I've had a busy day with working out and all this stuff, I know that Love Wellness Good Girl Probiotics has me covered. And that just means I can live my life worry-free, okay? And that just means I can live my life worry-free. Something like that, right? And that kind of ties into their close that they did. But again, just ultimately looping back to the actual outcome and the desire that the customer wants. And then finally with the CTA, adding some urgency, scarcity around, more and more people learning about this. So I would go and buy it now before it sells out, or I'd go check it out at lovewellness.com. And if I was you, I wouldn't waste another minute being insecure, embarrassed. I would just go and buy this product right now. It's worth the money, right? Something like that, because then you're giving people a reason, but also an action to take, right? And after all this ad, after seeing all this ad, they're very likely to actually go and take that action. Okay, so that is this 3 ads. Hopefully this showed you that you can have different ads for different products, different angles, and still follow a very similar framework, because again, this is a repeatable process. The whole reason why we're doing this is because we want to have a process that is repeatable, that is consistent, that we know if we produce 10 ads, we're going to find 1 winner, we're going to find 2 winners, whatever it is. Okay, that is ultimately the goal here. And you produce a machine that spits out these winning ads that allow you to scale your ad spend consistently month over month. So as I said earlier, if you're running an e-commerce brand that's doing over 100K per month in revenue and you want someone to come in and do all this for you, create all the ads, even run your ads, optimize the funnel, just really take over new customer acquisition for you, then this is exactly what my team and I do for a handful of e-commerce brands. So if that's something you're interested in, there's a link below this video to go to my website and book a call with me. We'll have a chat about your business, and worst case, after 20 minutes, you'll leave with insights you can actually apply to your own brand if it's just not a right fit for us to work together at this time, right? And if it is the right fit, we'll let you know and we'll take next steps. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you soon.